Hello, everyone. Welcome to Norton Man Reviews. I am your host, John Norton, and with me is my, co-host, Rusty the Cat. Say hi, Rusty. Oh, God. I think he's going to be a permanent staple in these reviews now. Who knows? All right. You're cute. Yes, we all know it. So, I've already put up one of these videos. Which was New Avengers Part 2. And some of you are probably thinking, where the fuck is Part 1? What is going on? Why are you such a hack? All valid questions. So I did Part 1. I reviewed this. I went through the first half, Part 1, then I did Part 2. But for some reason, somehow, in the process of getting the video ready, and formatting it properly, because I had to orient it. I don't know. It lost the audio after about 10 minutes. Don't know why. Couldn't figure it out. So it was like almost an hour video and 10 minutes of me talking, and then the rest just looking at pages, which maybe would have made a better video. I don't know. So I have to redo the first part and get the video out there. So bear with me, and the cat. Say hello, Rusty. All right. So New Avengers. What can we say about this book? I mean, this is a pretty big deal. Okay, Rusty, you gotta go, buddy. You're right in my way. I'll get you food later, maybe. The Avengers, for a time before this came out, I guess was not overly as popular or nearly as popular as they were now. The sales, to my recollection, were diminishing, and just, no one was talking about the Avengers. It was X-Men stuff. It was Spider-Man. It was like those kind of things. The Ultimate lines was going, and the Ultimates, the Avengers version of the Ultimate line was going really strong with, or had been going strong. I can't remember the timeline if it was over or not, but it had some great stories with Brian Hitch doing the art, and who was it, Mark Millar writing? Yeah. But they wanted their new Avengers, the Avengers, to become like the forefront of the Marvel Universe. So they hit up Brian Michael Bendis. Let's take a look at some of the credits. Brian Michael Bendis here, right? He was making a huge name for himself. He was doing some Marvel stuff. He was doing Ultimate Spider-Man, which was amazing. Not as good as Amazing Spider-Man, because that's amazing. And then he was also doing Daredevil with Alex Bayleaf doing the art, and that was really good. I got a bunch of that. Maybe we'll get into some of those stories. And what else did he do? He did Alias, the Jessica Jones series. I think he was doing some independent stuff before that. Powers, I want to say. But they brought Brian Michael Bendis on to revamp the New Avengers. I keep saying the New Avengers. To revamp the Avengers, he made it into the New Avengers. So he started with David Finch, penciler. We'll be talking a lot about his art as we go through. On Avengers Disassembled. And it has a recap story right here. In Avengers Disassembled, someone was attacking the Avengers. They were just being, they were at their worst day. Things were going on, being attacked constantly. I remember Iron Man, suddenly, his sobriety broke, even though he hadn't been drinking. And what they had come to eventually find out was it was the Scarlet Witch, who had lost her mind, that I guess she has done so many times in the past. I was kind of vaguely aware of what the Scarlet Witch and her history, and she was a villain, Magneto's daughter, all of that. And she'd have these bouts of going back and forth of being a good guy and sometimes being a villain, But she cracked. Her head just cracked. And I think it had something to do with her, like the Multiverse of Madness. Kind of almost that exact same thing. Stuff to do with her children, I think. I'm sorry, I don't know all the history of what had gone on in the Avengers. But anyways, it says here, it was the worst day in Avengers history. The Scarlet Witch suffered a total nervous breakdown. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. after losing control of her reality-altering powers. In the chaos created around the breakdown, beloved Avengers, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and the Vision lost their lives. And I think Ant-Man was the Scott Lang version. Hawkeye died. He was killed by a Kree invasion fleet that came out of nowhere because of her. I can't remember how Ant-Man died. Vision died by getting ripped apart by She-Hulk, who went hulked out like crazy. So he got ripped in half. But many of the other Avengers were hurt both emotionally and physically without funding to keep going. The rest of the team quietly disbanded, and you can kind of see them flying off and the jet taking off. So that was what happened in Avengers Disassembled. So the Avengers were no more. Thor, he wasn't part of that story, but a bunch of the single issues, Thor and Captain America, they're all crossing over, and so Thor had his own Disassembled, which I think had to do with Ragnarok. So Thor is not around either. So new Avengers were coming about. We'll get into the story about how and why this team forms, but as a marketing thing, they put out this cover, and I said this in the video that got ruined, but I really love this cover with all the shading and the shadows and all that of the different characters. And I have to assume it's David Finch. It looks like it, but I mean, it looks like Jay Lee and the art style that he turned into at this time. But that's just me. It's probably David Finch. But, you look at this, and we as fans were kind of going nuts. Of course you got Captain America and Iron Man, but who are the other people? There's Spider-Man. I mean, he's kind of been loosely associated with the Avengers. But so he's going to be a main person. But then here's Wolverine. It barely. I mean, that's kind of a weird thing. I wonder if he drew it out here and then they just cut it off, But anyways, Wolverine, he's going to be part of it. What characters do you bring onto the Avengers if you want the book to sell? And you get Spider-Man and you get Wolverine. Characters back here, Spider-Woman, which I didn't really know. I wasn't aware of her. I mean, I was aware of her. I knew her, but I didn't know anything about the character until this. And then Luke Cage, I knew him from back in the day. I mean, he was Power Man, but then he just went by the name Cage. Got rid of the tiara and the yellow. And then there's this guy back here. And we'll talk about who this is as we go in. I mean, if you read the book, you know. But I was like, oh, is that Cable from X-Force? I mean, if you're talking about bringing in popular characters, Cable for a long time was a pretty big deal with X-Force and New Mutants and Rob Liefeld in the 90s. So, I could see them bringing in Cable as part of that. But that's not who that is. It's somebody entirely different. I think Spider-Woman, definitely Luke Cage was, but I think Spider-Woman also, Bendis had brought in to his Alias book. So that's probably, why he brought them back here. Bendis is really good he has a good knowledge of Marvel history and using minor characters, B and C and D-list characters even, and making them interesting and bringing them to the forefront a little bit. So that's kind of what the hook was for the new Avengers, this new team, and it's significantly depowered. You don't have the powerhouses of Thor and Vision, Scarlet Witch, Wonder Man, all those guys. You have some kind of street level heroes and people, probably the most powerful one. I mean, he is, but Iron Man, who we know is probably the most powerful. So let's get into the story and we'll talk about some of the things that I think are really cool about this. Brian Michael Bendis, penciler David Finch, inker Danny Miki. So I'm not well versed in inkers. If you want to know more about people who are good inkers and artists, my brother Rob, who a lot of people I think who've already subscribed to me, thank you so much, have come over from Rob's channel. I don't have the knowledge that he does when it comes to various artists and inkers and like noticing different things about art in these pages. I mean, Robert's an artist and so am I, but Robert is the better artist of the two of us. He just has a better understanding of the fundamentals and the techniques of it. And I'm a little bit lazy with it, which I will fully admit. That's why I went digital, for Christ's Lord. For Christ's Lord, for Christ's sake, whatever. But anyways, Danny Miki as an inker, from my knowledge of just watching Rob's videos, he's a pretty big deal, but he has, there's these other three inkers, Mark Morales, Alan Martinez, and Victor Alizaba. I'm sorry. So 4 different inkers on this 6-issue book. And then colorists, letterers, Frank Diamarta. The colors are pretty good in this, I will admit, so good on him. Letterers I don't really have an opinion about, so. Then all this other shit. So, let's get into the story. Issue 1, the recap, and that was 6 months ago. So 6 months later. So you got these 2 people talking in a dark room, because that's always cool. You don't know who this guy is, and there's some shadowy figure in here. Wait, I need my pointer. Hold on, I'll be back. Stay with me. God, I'm so stupid. What a hack, unprepared, unprofessional. Unsubscribe. If you subscribe to me, I would recommend unsubscribing right now. So, you got this guy in shadows. He has a trench coat, so you don't know if it's a man or a woman. Classic move, putting him in a trench coat. But they're talking, and this shadowed person, this trench coat person, is telling this guy about a plan, about a job that he wants to hire. Talking about the details and blah, blah, blah. Do this job. Cool, I'll do it. And they're talking about why now, or when would you like this done? Our intelligence says that the Fantastic Four are out of the country. X-Men are preoccupied. Fantastic Four are out of the... I don't know what's going on in their book. The Avengers called it quits. So the time is now. And this guy's costume or no costume. That's completely up to you. So he says costume. He puts on his mask and it's Electro. It's Jamie Foxx right there, if you couldn't tell. So it's Electro that they're talking to, and they want him to do this job. So Breakout, part 1. Let's get to it. And again, David Finch, well, his art, he started as a Top Cow guy, right? He started doing some Cyberforce, and he was doing that Angel book. Robert, what is that fucking Angel book? I don't know. And he did a lot of Top Cow stuff, and he got progressively better and better, in my opinion. To me, he brought his A game on this Avengers book. Like, he was doing his absolute finest work, his best stuff that he could produce. And rightfully so. This was a big deal. This was like the premier book that Marvel was trying to make. So he wanted his art to be the best it could look. And I think he does some really smart things in his art that is in service to the story, as opposed to service to just showing off his art. But anyways, talks about, we got up here, the Rikers Island Maximum Security Penitentiary, and then the Raft. It's this island, and the Raft is for superpowered criminals, a prison. So a helicopter comes down, there's this woman, and then a couple of fellas jump out. This is Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, then you got Matt Murdock and Luke Cage back here. So they get out and they're, say, hi, how are you doing? How's it going? You look great. This is Luke Cage. Yeah, we've met, blah, blah, blah. And then Matt Murdock is here. It's like, oh, I also got my partner, Foggy Nelson, and he's cowering in the back because he's a little, he's scared. I mean, he's a dude. I would be doing that too if I was going to this place. So they're like, come on, get out. We're here. So they go inside. And this is kind of what I was talking about with David Finch. He'll do some big splashy art and double page spreads, but it's not a cool, like, heroic shot, team shot, busty babes looking where he can sell that art for a lot of money. He's, this is very, I mean, you get like the sense of where they're at, and that's what the story needs. It doesn't need a big hero shot of these guys walking in, you know? So, they're talking about who's down here, how many are down there. There's 8 levels of people. They mention some names: Bushwhacker, Carnage, Crossbones, Jigsaw, Tiger Shark, Vermin, Scarecrow from Batman, Mr. Hyde, Purple Man, the whole damn Wrecking Crew. Purple Man's a big a thing, and you know that because Luke Cage is like, Purple Man is here, and like right over there, you know him. And they're looking at each other. Can you see us? Yes. And what, I don't, they say it's somewhere here, but they're not actually like in prison. These aren't windows right here. These aren't their cells. These are monitors and videos. They're lower down in the levels as far as I know, which is kind of a smart thing. But they talk about, yeah, Purple Man's here, but he's drugged out of his gourd. And like their powers don't work. And they're talking about why do you have so many powers, blah, blah, blah. This is run by S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm a superpowered agent chaperone. Hey, Rusty. Rusty's back. And then she mentions here, it's funny, God damn it, Rusty, about Matt Murdock being outed as Daredevil, because that was a big deal going on in the Daredevil comics. I think Kingpin publicly outed Daredevil, his secret identity, as Matt Murdock. But he's fighting it in his book, and he is denying it here. Yeah, like, it's absolutely sucks what the press did to you, outing you as Daredevil like that. And he's like, yeah, considering it isn't true. So Foggy's still bitching about like the precautions and the safety and everything like that. So they talk about, a live broadcast of the cell. They're behind a thick sheet of metal, adamantium lined cells. So that's pretty secure. They're underwater, army of fully trained, highly armed S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Powers have been neutralized. They're pretty much saying this is the safest place in New York City. So they get in an elevator, they're going down, right? They're going down to the lower levels. So they're going to meet somebody. Who it is, we don't know. Nothing really interesting here. There's just more talking. And Bendis, he has a style of writing that you kind of have to get used to, especially if you have been reading comics the traditional way. Especially like writers like Claremont, there are pretty much no word boxes. There's no thought bubbles anywhere in any of these. He does clutter up. Oh my God, buddy. Scoot over. The viewers cannot see the page. Thank you. He does clutter up the pages with words. Rob has talked about this on his channel. But what Bendis does is like, it's a natural conversation between people. It's not one person giving a speech. I mean, sometimes they run on long, but it's like back and forth, back and forth. It seems like a natural conversation. So for me, it's a little bit easier to read than like a word box explaining like the 4 valiant heroes step into the glass cell and lowers them into the depths of what we can only perceive as hell, or something stupid like that. Nothing corny. It's just, we get what's going on with the art, to David Finch's credit, and to Bendis's credit of just putting the words and having it naturally, like the exposition is explained. Like in a movie, you never see like word boxes explaining. I mean, I guess you have narrators sometimes. It's some people like it, some people don't. Anyways, back to the story. They're talking and the lights go out, and they're like, "What the fuck is going on? It's the generators. They're powering down." Like, so they're getting a little like, "Why is this happening? This isn't a good thing." And then, I mean, I wonder how much David Finch got paid per page, and then does this count as a page? I mean, because he probably only had draw that one thing, and then somebody else or him or whoever went and blacked out the portions as it just, you know. But anyways, this cool moment, city scene, and you see like the blackout is starting back here, and it's getting closer and closer until it just takes over the whole city. So they have these inserts, which they put into this book, so they don't break up the double page spreads that are coming up. Can I turn the page? Thank you. So, double page spread. Again, art in service to the story. You know, this isn't, I mean, I think it's a cool piece of art, you know, like you get to the details of some of these rocks and everything up here, but you got the raft up here and like an explosion happening. So its energy is projected and lightning. And you can only guess that's electro, like, yeah, I know. Shooting out of it. But it, you know, would you want to pay a lot of money to have this piece of art, like the original art, on your wall? Maybe some people do. You know, I'm sure like some of the pieces where he has like big heroic action and, you know, team shots on it go for way more to be able to sell. But he's not worried about that. He wants to tell the story. So thank you, Rusty. Okay. Oh, ow. All right, so we cut to Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And again, the dialogue, talking back and forth, natural conversations. And they're talking about, they want to watch a movie. She wants to watch a Hugh Grant movie. He doesn't. It's like, it's the only night he gets off, and I don't want to watch that movie. But, you know, she wants to. And we got a hot girlfriend like that. If you're a hetero male, you're going to be like, sure, whatever. But then the lights go out, and then he makes a, you know, he's like, that's a shame. And then he sees in the distance here, the explosion down here. So, okay, Rusty, you got to go again. You're right in my way. Thank you. We'll see you again soon, I'm sure. And she says, honey, you better go. But he's already off. Swinging through the rain, and costume on, webs are up and working, but he doesn't know, how am I going to get to the island out there? And I think that these two panels, I mean, it's the same drawing, but they just added in a helicopter here. But I think these need to be swapped, right? Like, he needs to be saying this, the webs only work if there's something to web onto. There's nothing to web onto. So there would be he'd be saying that when there's nothing here, and then he would see the helicopter coming by. So then he has a way to web onto something. So I think these need to be swapped, and I don't know what happened there. So he whips up, and he gets onto the helicopter. There's lightning and everything. I think this is still electro shit. And he goes inside to the pilot, and he's talking to a guy, and he's like, don't fly too close, stay calm, I'll just jump out, you don't have to land. And then the lightning is going, and it crashes into the helicopter. He's like, don't worry, it's not your fault. And I'm kind of confused about what's going on here. So the helicopter lands or crashes, right? And Spider-Man's falling. But then you got this panel up here where it gets hit there and it crashes, but then it gets hit again. I mean, that's the helicopter, right? I mean, Spider-Man's in the drink. Explosions, he comes up and he's swimming and he's complaining to himself. He's cold and he's like, I don't have a ride home. And he gets up there, and then boom, Captain America is there. And he was the guy in the helicopter with him. And Captain America's like, what's going on here? And Spider-Man says, I give up. What is happening here? And Captain America tells him, we don't have time for the smart ass. He's like, I just got here too. I don't know what's going on. Both of them were not coming to this place. They were just like, saw what was happening, and they decided to intervene. But again, what is going on here? Crashing, exploding. I don't know. If I'm missing something and I'm just stupid, please let me know. I mean, don't let me know if I'm stupid. I already know that, but let me know what I'm missing. Another insert, because I'm sure there's going to be something cool on this side. Yeah, not a double page spread, but it goes into, like, you read it left to right, going over here. So Electro fucking shit up like he does, right? And I guess he's walking down through the cells and going through each one till he finds one that he's been looking for specifically. And he says, "Sir, if you're ready to go," and he basically is freeing one particular person, but he says to the rest of you, because he just opened all these cells as he went walking by. My name is Max Dillon, blah, blah, blah. I broke you losers out, blah, blah. Have fun, but remember, now and forever, you guys owe me huge. I just broke you out of this prison. And it says all of you. This is a pretty cool page. And it shows all these villains. And again, like Bendis, like I bet he said, like, put this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy in. He probably let David Finch have a little bit of, like, hey, throw in whoever else you want. I don't know all of these guys. I'm going to name some that I do know. There's Crossbones. That must be Scarecrow, I guess. What's the difference between him and the Batman one? There's Jigsaw, a Punisher villain. Purple Man is down here. Typhoid Mary, she is a Daredevil villain. Like, I recognize a bunch of these guys, but I don't know their names. But a bunch of, again, B-list, C-list villains, D-list villains, I'm sure, you know. So he breaks them out. It cuts back to Matt Murdock, Luke Cage, those guys. Shit's going on, and they're not panicking, but they're just being careful because they know shit is going down. But they're still here for a particular guy. And Matt Murdock down here says, "Where is he? Who? The man we came to see." And she points, and Murdock goes to the cell, and he opens it up. And he says, "Mr. Reynolds, my name is Matthew Murdock. I was coming here to see you as a favor to Reed Richards, but it seems that we are in need of your immediate help." So it's this guy. And those of you who know and read the books before this know that this is the Sentry. And who is he? That's Robert Reynolds. He went by the name of the Sentry. He's, maybe according to Reed Richards, the most powerful superhero on the planet Earth. What's he doing here? He killed his wife. And that's the end of issue 1. Now, with the Sentry, again, it was a weird marketing thing that Marvel was doing, and they were marketing the Sentry as Stan Lee's first creation ever, his first superhero, even before Fantastic Four. They say that they found some old notes and some old drawings before he published Fantastic Four or whatever, and this was the first guy he ever created, and they did mock interviews, because this wasn't real. This was kind of a hoax. With Stan Lee, and he talked about how he didn't remember doing it. The artist, I think they got Joe Kubert, who has an old school style to draw some of these drawings of the Sentry. But they did a book on him. Paul Jenkins wrote it. Was it Jay Lee who drew it? I can't remember. But basically, he has like a history with the Marvel Universe. They wrote it in where he was a hero back in 60s or 70s or whenever the Fantastic Four first showed up. But he has some crazy powers with him, which we won't get into in depth, but he has this like light and dark side that he kind of flips back and forth from. And I think in that book, they made all of the world or the Marvel Universe forget him, that he even existed. Why they're here now, I mean, just as a favor to Reed Richards, I don't know. But anyways, that's the Sentry. There he is. And, you know, he has long hair. He's looking ragged with a beard. You know he has to be in here by choice. He's on a Superman power level. So, let's get into issue number 2. All right, we pick up. Shit is going on at the raft, explosions, and they see these guys like fly away. Captain America and Spider-Man are talking, and Spider-Man, he's the first one to jump in the fray, and Captain America is like, "Wait, let the shield take point." And Spider-Man says, "I have this thing about putting others in harm's way when I could do it." So he jumps in and he looks down to that hole that was just blown out here. He's looking down, and his spider sense goes off. He's like, "Uh-oh." And he sees all these assholes looking up at him. And he tries jumping away, or he's knocked by a power blast right there. And these guys start coming out. And what's good, Bendis knows that not everyone is going to know who all these guys are. So he gives these little headshots with a little brief description. This guy is Count Lucino Nefaria, power siphon and organized crime leader. Okay, cool. I don't know what that means. Does something with his power, and he picks up Spider-Man and throws him into the hole down there where all these guys are. He's like, I have the power to end your life in 1,000 different ways, but nothing could be more satisfying than throwing him in the hole. So now Spider-Man, he's just being like jumped on by dozens of guys, maybe hundreds. And these guys are like, fuck yeah, let's kill him. Some guys want to take him as a hostage. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Let's just get him. They tear off his mask. So now it's just, Peter Parker, but no one knows who that is at this point. Jigsaw, you remember me, ass? Did we date in high school? Oh, it's just funny, but he grabs Spider-Man's arm and breaks it. Now, Spider-Man is fucking strong. Jigsaw, to me, is just a guy, right? And just a fucked up face. He's a Punisher villain. So could he break it? I guess. Anyways, cut to the basement level 7, sub-basement level 7. So Matt Murdock is talking to him, and he's like, we need your help. Something is going on. SHIELD agents come down. We can't see down here. She puts on her power so they can get a little bit of light. They just want to get out. And then Foggy, he's complaining again, because that's what he does. And they see somebody behind him, and they kind of freak out. And then he turns around and looks, and it's goddamn Carnage. And if you're a regular guy, I mean, even if you're like fucking Spider-Man or whoever, if you're in a dark, secluded area, the last person you want to run into is fucking Carnage. He is just a scary motherfucker, right? So he is there. But Daredevil, Matt Murdock, he jumps in. He's like, he saves his friend, and Jessica Drew shoots him. So Carnage's like, who do I have to thank to get me out of here? And it says, Cletus Cassidy. Here's another little headshot. Carnage, homicidal vampiric alien symbiote. Yeah, that's a way of putting it. So Daredevil here, or Matt Murdock, is, he throws him into the Sentry's cell right here. He's like, do not open this door. Whatever happens, don't open this door. And he shuts him in with a Sentry. So Carnage is fighting. SHIELD agents are shooting him. And Spider-Woman says, don't let him touch you. He feeds off people. And he's hungry. He's like, he's right. That's right. And I'm hungry. And easy snacks for the SHIELD agents. And he's killing them, doing whatever. They're fighting him, doing their best. Carnage is going after Luke Cage, but he has unbreakable skin, so nothing's really going to happen to him. Murdock's down here, and someone says behind him, Murdock? And it's this guy. Who is this guy? It's Dr. Kelvin Zabo, obviously. He's Mr. Hyde, superhuman strength and endurance. Okay, cool. Makes sense. He looks like an asshole who can fuck shit up. So, first human face I've seen in a year, and it's huge, so they must have a history, right? Again, David Finch, he's putting his his A game on this. He's just doing some really cool stuff. He knows what he's doing. Great artist. So they start fighting, and then back up to the main floor. All these guys are fucking up Spider-Man. You got Fool Killer, Blackwood, who. And the Crusader, I don't know which one is which. Power of God, guide my hand. I don't know. They all want to kill Spider-Man. Daniel Layton, alias Cut. Oh, wait, these are that's the name. Kurt Gerhardt, alias Fool Killer, alias the Crusader, alias Cutthroat. Must be. Spider-Man's getting his ass kicked. And so Captain America flings his mighty shield through these guys, and he comes in to save the day. Now, I've always thought like, if I were in Spider-Man's shoes, there are more powerful people in the Marvel Universe and on the Avengers. But who, if you were in the position Spider-Man was, where, like, you were just getting your ass handed to you, all hope seems to be lost, who do you want to see coming to your rescue? It would be Captain America. He just inspires hope, and all that kind of nonsense. So you're probably feeling a lot better seeing that costume and that star and that A on his forehead as he comes barreling in to help you. He's gonna turn the tide no matter what is going on. Go back to Foggy Nelson. He's in the dark with the Sentry, and he's basically pleading to Sentry, like, hey, can you help? These are good people. Matt Murdock, you know, all the people out there, my friends, they're amazing people. Please help my friends. He's just pleading to them, and he's, you know, it's a one-sided conversation. And goes back outside. They're fighting Mr. Hyde. They're fighting Carnage. They're like, who is this that I'm fighting? Cage doesn't know. It's Carnage, one of Spider-Man's. Well, get him down here. And Carnage's like, I would love that. They don't even know Spider-Man's up there. They're just talking, you know. Daredevil kicks him, Venom blasts in the mouth. And, like, she says, there's 87 convicted felons in this prison. We have to get out of here and call for reinforcements. And they hear it. Crass something. And there's the Sentry. He just busts out of that cell. Like, he was in there by, willingly, by choice. He could have left anytime he wanted. Sees Carnage. Carnage comes at him, like, shoots his tendrils or whatever. I don't know what he's doing here. He put it in his hand up. He's stopping. He's like, he's not worried. Now, it took me a second to figure out, like, what is going on here. But then it suddenly dawned on me. They're in sub-basement level 7. But Sentry is crashing through each level. He's coming up. So each time you see one of these panels in this boom, he's like crashing through, boom, 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 like a level through the floor and the ceiling, until he eventually comes out and hits the surface. Captain America sees it, and he goes zipping out, So he flies in, high into the air, upper atmosphere. You can see, like, the planet down there. And then he's going into space, and he gets into space, and he just fucking rips Carnage in two. Just like that. That is a statement of how powerful this guy is. Carnage is nothing to be laughing at. He is a major villain. He is a major threat. He can take on Spider-Man and Venom by himself. He had that Maximum Carnage thing. All kind of shit. You don't want to mess with him, but Sentry, like, Carnage is nothing to him. So, thank God for Carnage is gone. So, now they're back in, with Cage and Murdock and Spider-Woman. They're still trying to get out. They beat up Mr. Hyde, I guess. But then they talk about, like, the water's rising. Where's the water coming from? And somebody says, like, you're drowning. And a little insert here, and that's Maury Bench. I know him from the Spider-Man animated series. Hydro Man, biological liquid transformation. You're like, oh, shit. So he, turns into water. He's flooding them. They're underneath the water. Jessica Drew grabs Foggy, and she flies out. Can she fly? I guess she flies. And then what happens here? Like, they all burst out from the level they're in. Maybe, like, the water is rising through, like, the holes in the levels, and that's why they're able to get to the surface. Yeah, because suddenly, boom, cool double page spread, big battle. Captain America, Spider-Man, Matt Murdock's there, Luke Cage is there, Jessica Drew is kind of in the fucking ass crack of the book right here, but you can see her there. So they're talking. Matt Murdock, what are you doing here? He's like, how are you? How do I look? And Daredevil says, you dropped your mask. And, like, he says, that's not a great career move. And so they're just talking, and Captain America's like, does anyone know how this started? They're just kind of trying to figure it out as they're fighting. Spider-Man says, "You can blame me if you want. Everyone else will." So it doesn't matter. We have to contain them. This is already a disaster. Keep going. Somebody grabs Captain America and throws him, flings him out. And who's there to save him? There's Iron Man. Now, I talk about David Finch doing the art in service to the story, and he doesn't always need to do big splashy pages for every character, like introduction. I would have made that a little bit bigger, personally. I mean, what is there a point of having it so small? Have it a little bit bigger for an Iron Man introduction. Again, Iron Man wasn't as big as he is now. I'm pretty sure this was before, I don't know if there was a printing date. I'm pretty sure this was before or around the time that the first Iron Man movie came out. So Tony Stark, Iron Man, they wasn't as big deal as he is now. So, but Iron Man's here, and he's with the rest of the guys, and they're gonna fight. So Luke Cage is doing his thing. He's beating the fuck out of people, and then a guy says, "Hey, Luke Cage," and this guy says, "Do me a favor, kill all these other hero friends of yours, and then kill yourself." And then it says, "Zebediah Kilgrave, alias Purple Man, mind control." Now, I had not read the Alias books. I have since then, and I'll probably go over those at some point. But he was such a big deal. If you watch the Jessica Jones series, you know that he is such a big deal, how dangerous he can be just with his mind control. Just by saying something, you have to do it. So when he tells Luke Cage, who is a strong guy, strong motherfucker, with impenetrable, unbreakable skin, to kill all these other hero friends of yours and then kill yourself, that is fucking scary. And Luke Cage has this look, if I can get the camera right, in his eyes. Uh-oh. End of issue number 2. Issue number 3, cool shot of the Sentry. I like that picture. Cool use of shadows. So, wait, what? This isn't picking up right where we had left off. We're at a shield helicarrier. Kind of an old school version of it, but still cool. Like the angle. It's in the morning. You see something smoking in the background. That's the raft. What had happened? This was a time jump. This is the next day. So Iron Man and Captain America start talking about what had happened the night before. They talk about, how many total of them escaped? 42 and counting. So 42 people out of the 87 super criminals escaped. So that's kind of a big deal. They're talking about when's the power going to be back up. And then he wants to talk about what happened last night. Like, I thought we were talking about that. And Cap says, I want you to think about what we were witness to. Not just what happened, but what we witnessed. So, it goes flashback. And it's they're talking back and forth. I mean, there's word boxes here, but these are just the dialogue from them talking. And you can tell who's talking based by the little symbols. I mean, Iron Man's is... Oh, that's eye. Iron Man's eye from his helmet. And Captain America's stars, right? Oh, God. So, what are we talking about here? He's talking about, none of us were supposed to be there. And, but Luke Cage is there, and the Purple Man was there. He comes face to face with him. And he talks about what Purple Man can do, and they have a history. It's what Purple Man did in the Jessica Jones series was pretty fucked up, right? And Luke Cage was part of that. So again, kill all these hero friends of yours, kill yourself. And he says, I know that God loves me. This is how I know. I finally am shown a way out of this hellish prison, and you are here to greet me. I know God wants this to happen, and I don't even believe in God. And his eyes are all his pupils are there. I promise you this. I promise to take very good care of our darling Jessica Jones and your bastard baby child she is carrying. So, I mean, he did some crazy stuff where he took control of Jessica Jones and he made her do a lot of stuff, and he took sexual advances on her, raping her. Um, and so that's, how fucked up is that? He's going to be doing it again. He's going to kill his child, his unborn child. But then you see his eyes, and he says, Kilgrave, your powers, they drugged you, and your powers do not work right now. And then Kilgrave's like, uh-oh. And Luke Cage, he just goes ape shit on him. Just beats the fuck out of him. Like, who wouldn't, man? I would. And then he's yelling, and what you've done to me, you threatened my kid, you say that to my face, you just beating him and beating him and beating him, and like, he's gonna kill him. But Captain America stops him. He's like, Cage, enough! He like looks at his bloody face down here, and Cage stops. He's like, okay, because Cage is not a killer. He would have in this instance if someone probably hadn't stopped him. And Captain America says, good man, thanks for that. Like, he didn't want to kill him. He was just kind of in a rage right there. So they're fighting, and he's like, okay, we got to wrap this up and call it a night. And so then it goes back to Captain Tony talking. And Captain America's like, do you know what this reminded me of? He says, it reminded me of the story of how the Avengers first got together. And then just some kind of each hero moment. There's Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Luke Cage, Matt Murdock, Iron Man, Cap. He's like, the group assembled by fate. A group of extraordinary people who never think to put in a room together, people willing to toss aside how much they personally have on the line. They put that when, like with Daredevil, Matt Murdock, the last thing he needs is to be seen fighting a bunch of superpowered criminals without his costume. But doing instinctively what they do best, giving no pause, and just when you weren't sure which way the fight would go, and it shows this cool picture of Sentry with like the shield helicarrier reinforcement. The team comes together and it's done. So he's basically saying, like the original Avengers, who were Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, Wasp, and Ant-Man, they came together to fight Loki just randomly, as far as I know. I should read that. Like, I know the story, but I, haven't actually read it. So Iron Man's like, you want to assemble a new team of Avengers. And Cap says, the team was already assembled itself. And they're kind of talking about, like, it's over. We can't do this. We don't even know some of these people. Like, these are the two main guys. Like, do we just grab these guys? And he says, we do know them. There's a balance to the city, to the country, that we inadvertently, by ending the Avengers, we threw the balance out of whack. Like, you cannot just not have Avengers around. He said, a team needs to be in its place. And this is exactly why there needs to be an Avengers. If the old Avengers don't want to, or if they can't, then let's try these new ones. So if we can't have the old crew that we got, if these guys are willing, let's do it with them. He's like, I can't afford to rebuild the mansion right now. He's like, so don't. We don't need the salary. No more tech. We never needed any of that. Just a place to meet and then just get shit done. No UN, no government, no politics. And he's like, let me think about it. He's like, great, I'll go assemble the team. So even though he wants to think about it, Cap just gonna get this shit rolling. So he goes to visit Peter Parker, who's a teacher, I guess. And he's all messed up, and, he meets up with him. How'd you find me? You have a shield file. Ugh, he says. And you lost your fight. Mask in the fight. Don't remind me. And then he came to make him an offer. He gives him the spiel. And he's like, I'm not a team player. And it's like, how's that been working out for you? Not great. I've been really amazed at you. Captain America tells him, it's like, come with me on this. Give it a shot. And he says, okay, he will. And he's like, well, honestly, I could really use the money. And Captain America's like, oh, well, there's no money in it. He's like, well, that's not even funny, because that's, a thing with Peter Parker. He can't catch a break. So now it goes to, cuts to, he's going to meet Luke Cage, but here's Jessica Jones. She's preggers. And she's like thankful for Captain America for helping and being there for Luke Cage and her baby. I mean, her man last night. Lage comes in. Lage. Cage comes in, and Captain America wants him to be part of the Avengers, and he's kind of shocked. He's like, "Wait, who else you asking? Everyone from last night?" And he's kind of shocked because, again, I'm not familiar with Luke Cage and his history, but from what I know, he didn't come from privilege or wealth or anything like that. Came from, I don't know, the streets. Better word for it, probably. So he never thought he'd be part of the Avengers, but he's kind of happy to be there. So he's like, yeah, I'm in, but he's like, I want a voice and I want to be heard. I want to try some different things. And he's like, no problem, done. But he says, by the way, there's no way Matt Murdock says yes to this. And Matt Murdock, Daredevil, he's like, nope, I'm not going to do it. And he said everyone else said yes. And they're talking about it, how what's going on with Daredevil's life is super chaotic and complex, and he doesn't want to bring that mess into a new team of Avengers. He just can't do it. And then they're talking about here, and he says, sometimes I look at all the things Peter Parker does in a month, and I have no idea how he gets it all done. And he's saying that as Daredevil, he says Peter Parker, and he's like, wait a minute, do you know who Peter Parker is? And he's like, yes, I'm on the team. So he let it slip of Spider-Man's identity a little bit. He's like, don't tell him that. But they're just like, just think about it, Daredevil. So next we go to Jessica Drew. I almost said Jessica Jones. And there she is. Really cool picture. I mean, this would be probably a cool picture to sell for the art, right? She's working out, keeping her body tight. And same thing, giving her the plan of what he wants to do, wants her in there. They're going back and forth. And there's a lot of panels on here with the back and forth, but some of these panels you can see are just duplicates. Like there's a duplicate, these are duplicates, others. Either way, you get it. What are they talking about? Like, so she's in trouble with S.H.I.E.L.D. because she failed for what happened last night. And they're just like, whose fault was it? That's what he's trying to figure out. Fury's okay with this, she asks. He's like, I don't care what Nick Fury thinks. And who knows where Nick Fury is at the time, at this point. It's, he's not part of S.H.I.E.L.D. So basically she agrees. Right? So everyone except Daredevil is part of the team now. So cool shot of the building. Cool not double page, but splash page. But again, service to the story, just showing like the cool shot of the building. And it's not a big, shot like that or something like that. It takes time to draw Jarvis. And he's back. He's going to be helping out, and that's cool, I guess. Need a butler. And, it takes time to draw the interiors, draw some backgrounds, establishing shots, all that kind of shit. So everyone's there, and they're like, okay, let's talk, let's get going. He's like, wait, we're waiting for one more person, and she should be here any moment. So Jessica Drew, I mean, this was daytime, and now it's nighttime, so some time has passed, and she's finally showing up. And she's talking to someone off page. She said, I had a day. I just got fired from S.H.I.E.L.D. job and asked to be an Avenger all in one day. Oh, Rusty's back. He wants to be part of the end. Rusty, I don't have any food for you. I have to have money to buy you food. I have to have a dolphin to get the money. I don't see a dolphin around here. Do you? Yeah. Messed up my camera. Messing with this cat.